Hello, everyone. You're welcome to another SQL session. All right, so in this session, we will be talking about subqueries. Subqueries. Where is this? Subqueries. Let me just subqueries. All right, so it's usually interchangeable with the word nested queries, right? So we're talking about subqueries or nested queries. They mean the same thing. All right. So when we talk about subqueries, it's not a complex thing, but it could look complex when you are doing a lot of it. However, let's understand the meaning in a very simple way. Okay. So subqueries would mean that um you're writing. Let me just make it like a note. Okay. So you first write a query. Okay. When you write a query, you get a result, right? When you write a query, you get a result, or let's say an output, right? Good. Now the outputs of this query. So this is going to be, let's say this is output one. Okay. So the output of this query, that is output one, would be the inputs, or would be the value, or let's say, yeah, so the output of this query is going to be the value, all right, of, we'll say the value in another query. Okay. So you are going to write a query, and this query is going to give you an output. All right. Now the output of that query is now going to be like a value for the other query. Okay. So it's going to be like a value for another query to do some, to run, an operation. Okay. So it could be filtering, calculation, just any operation. Okay. So that's the simplest term I can think of for now. But you will understand it better when we run into some examples. Okay. So for example, now let's say we have a table. Okay. Maybe we have a table. Let's say product table. Okay. So we are going to say, okay, this is a problem statement right now. All right. Let's do the problem statement. So now the problem statement here is this. In this table, I want from this table, the I want to see the number, or I want to see the list of customers, right? That probably make orders, or that buy products beyond the average amount. Okay. So they're like, maybe this is what you use to probably define your premium customers. Okay. So now there's a possibility that the information of the customers and the products are on different tables. There's a possibility that they are in one table. Okay. So queries can be used with multiple tables. Okay. And they can be used on a single table. So the idea is that if I want to do this, let's assume this is, maybe even though it's in a multiple table or in a single table, but the idea here is there are two things here, all right, that I need to produce. The first thing is, in their orders, the first thing is this next one, is the last statement here, that there is an average amount. So that means I need to calculate the average amount, right? Then the second thing here is, from this average amount, I need to get the list of customers, that save, or that um okay, that buy or that spend beyond the average amount. All right. So that means the first thing you have to get is what is this average amount. Then after that, I start looking for the list of customers that does this. So what I'm going to do here to make this thing materialize or achievable is to write my query, that is, this is going to be an aggregation because it's average amount, right? So I will just probably write a query. I will just just write something, something like, so I could just write a query, and I would say give me the average amount, right? Give me the average amount. Okay. And then the next thing is it gives me the average amount. Let's say maybe the result of this is probably 45.678. Okay. So now that means this average amount now would be 45.678. So when I run that query, I should have something like this. All right, 45.678. Then I will now run another query. Okay, so the query is going to be maybe select customer's name. All right, maybe it's a customer name colon. So I just select customer name from this table. Remember, you're doing select amount from maybe the table. All right, so you're not saying select customer name from, maybe another table or even the same table, and then you're now saying that you are now filtering it where the, let's say, the customer amount, if it is the same table, maybe where the customer amount is greater than this 45.68.678, right? So that's what you do to get it. But instead of copying this and pasting it, instead of copying the value, and pasting it, you will just have to, copy the query. Okay, you just have to copy, sorry, you just have to copy the query, and then you would put it in parentheses. All right. So when this query happens greater than this, the entirety of this query is going to yield this figure, and then it will give you the result. It will be as the same thing as saying select the customer name where the customer amount is greater than 45.678. Okay, so instead of writing 45.678 in manually, you just have to, you can use the query, and it will start from this query. It will, the order of execution would first execute this particular select statement to get the result, which is 45.678. Then it will execute this and do the comparisons. All right, so let's see that in practice. Let's look for a table that we could use. I think we have a table called orders, right? So let's see what orders has for us. So this is select all from orders. Good. Now, let's say what we want to achieve here is, okay, let's do what we discussed in the example. Now we want to get the list of products, okay, whose price are beyond the average. So we want to get, let me see if I could write this somewhere. Okay. Okay, let me write it here. So this is the problem statement. Okay. So we want to get, is this good enough? So we want to get the list of products. Okay. Whose prices are above average. All right. So the first thing here is this average, right? That's what we discussed. So let me just raise it up and keep the table visible. So I would do this. I would do my magic command and say I want to get the average right now. So I'll say select. Remember your aggregation. Select the average of price, right? And where am I selecting it from? From the others table. So when I run this, I'm getting this as the average price, isn't it? Okay, let's now get the list of products whose prices are above this average. So what I would do here now is, let's just run this other query, and let's say we are going to select, let's just say select all right, so that we can see the entire information. Select all from others. Let's do this first. When you select all from others, you have this, right? So I'm looking for the amount that exceeds 85, that exceeds this amount. So I could just say select from others where price is greater than, I could just copy this, okay? I could just copy this, and where price is greater than 85 points, this, and I enter it. So it will show me that this is 85,300 and say approximately 367. And it tells me that the only item that exceeds that amount is iPhone 14. All right. Let's check the entire list. So you could see that everything is 12,000, 15, 30,000. iPhone 14 is 450,000. So obviously this is the only product that exceeds 85,000. All right. Now, this is to an extent nice, but it's not recommended. All right. So what I would do here is, instead of, let me just copy this so that you could see if it's different. So instead of this, I would use the query, all right, that produce that result, this average result. I'll use that query, okay, and replace it with this. Okay, I'll replace it with this. If I do this, it won't go. It will give me an error because it's looking like double statement. So I'll have to put this in parentheses. All right. I have to put this in parentheses. The parentheses will help the SQL engine to know that, okay, this is where it's going to start running its calculation. All right. It's going to start from what is inside the parentheses before it gets to what is outside. It's just like using the board mass calculation where it starts calculating from the bracket, all right, before other things. So when I run this, I will get the same result. You could see that. So this method is called subquery. So this is a subquery, all right. It is a subquery, and this is an inner query, and this is an outer query. So we are using a query here to give us a result, all right, and the result is now going to be a value. In this case, is a value for its filtering purpose. So it has used this value to as a filtering value for this condition, okay, where it's using where. All right. So you could see that, you could see the effect of nested queries or subqueries, and this is on a table. Let's see if we could do this for, let's say, another table. I would want to use our student registration table. So let's see what we have now. Student registration. So we have, let's select all from student registration. Registration. So we have all this information which we are already fully aware of. Now let's see what do we want to do. Cool, interesting. Remember that this is a table that has a foreign column linking to another table. So this course here is representing another table, right? Which is courses. So let's see that other table. Let's see the other table. So I would say select all from courses. What do I have? Okay, cool. So these are the courses that are being offered in this academy. All right. And this is a table that contains the list of persons that have registered. Now, what is our problem statement here? Let's see what we could get from our problem statement. First, now, this is the problem statement. we have data engineering, data analytics, HR analytics, data science, business intelligence here, but they are not displayed here, right? We just have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 3, 2. So there is almost no way you could just look at the number and tell if it is data engineering or if it is data science. All right. So how do you want to get let's say you want to get a list of persons that are offering data engineering in this particular in this that the list of persons that registered for data engineering. So you can't just go and start memorizing and then you say course ID is 2 or course ID is 1 for data engineering. Now there's a better way of doing it. Okay, so this is how I would use these two tables to get that information. So let's start with the problem statement. All right, so I want to get the list of persons, right? List of, say, let's assume these are students, okay, that are offering, these students are offering data engineering, okay. So the first thing we have to do is to look at the last comments. Like I said, you would it mostly starts from the last comment. So because what I need to do is how am I going to get this data engineering? All right. So this data engineering exists, the name exists in the courses table, right? So it exists in the courses table. So courses table, right? So the first thing I would do is to even get the ID of the course table. Why am I looking for the ID? When you are dealing with two tables, you have to look for something in common. Okay, there must be a common column that exists on both tables. So in this case, we have we have course ID and the course column here. All right, the course column here and course ID are the common columns. All right, so what I would do here is I want the value, I want the output of the internal query to be a course ID value. All right, so that I could use that to query the information. So let's reduce the talk and move to action. All right, so now what I'm going to do here is, first of all, let me even see the course, right? So I would say select, let's say select all, okay, from courses, where the course name is data engineering, right? So I would say data engineering. All right. So remember, it's case sensitive, so you have to write it according to how it's being displayed. Else, if you do something like say data engineering, nothing is going to come up. So, but if you think that you may not, Postgres is case sensitive. So if you think that you may not be able to, get the right spelling or get the right cases, so you could just use I like. All right. So if I use I like, I would still get that information. All right. So now, because I like stops the it reduce it makes it case insensitive. Okay. So now I have this information, but I cannot use this information as a subquery. All right. So because I need just an item or a value of a column as a subquery, because when I'm using my where condition, it goes to a particular column. It does not span through all these multiple information. Okay. So what I would do is, since I've confirmed that data engineering is here, right? So I would just say select course ID. All right, I'll just say select course ID, which is going to give me 1, right? So the next thing is, I said I want to get the list of students that are offering data engineering, right? So that means I want to get the list of students that are offering course equals course ID equals 1, right? Because from the table here, what it means is that anybody that has course 1, 1 is offering data engineering. All right. So now, I would come here and I would just say select. Let me just continue from here. So in this case here, What I would just do is put this in parentheses. All right. This is the output one. So that means this is what I will use as the value in my outer query. So I could just come here, okay, and just say something like select, let's say select all right, from student registration. You could select specified columns, all right. So you could say select maybe first name, last name, maybe let's see the course so that you could confirm that everybody has the same course ID. Okay, from where? Let's say from all from student registration, from student registration, where what course? Don't forget the name, the actual name of that column. So where course equals this. All right. So if we run this, because this is going to be the same thing as where cost equals one. Remember that course here, it is written as course, all right? So even though in this place it is recognized as course ID, but so you are telling it that okay, just get the value of this, all right, and make it the just get the output of this and make it the value in this other query. So it will run this first because you've put it in parentheses, and then the result of this will be one. So this cost equal to because equals one. All right. So when I do this, it will give me all this information based on cost equals one. So you can see John Ogunle, this, that. So with this now, you now know the number of persons or the list of persons that are offering this course. All right. So if I make these, say, what other course do we have? Say I make these data science. So I just change this to science. Okay, let's see this. So you see that the names will change and probably the number of persons. So when I run this, you see I have just two persons and it's telling me that the course ID is five. All right, so I just have Michael and Christopher doing this. So you can see how I connected two tables to get information with nested queries. You could do multiple things. For example, I want to probably check I want to check for maybe people that are studying data science and say HR analytics. All right. So I will just come here and say, when you want to say where course name, you would say in because now you're dealing with multiple people, so or multiple departments. So where course ID, where course name in, and I'll put what's going to be say HR analytics, right? So I'll say HR analytics. Analytics. Okay. So okay, so remember that it's case sensitive. All right, so let's do this. HR analytics. Let's close this bracket. All right. When we run this, what is it saying? What is it saying? Oh, okay, cool. So now the problem here is that we have multiple values here. So it should probably give me data science is what here? Data science is five, right? And HR analytics is three. So when I say equals to, it won't work. So I should have used in. All right, I should have used in and it gives me the value. All right, so what we have now is you can see 3 and 5. All right, so you could see that 3 is HR analytics, 5 is data science according to what we requested for here. So you could do a lot of things. All right, you could also say something like I want to see everybody, okay, but I don't want to see the ones that are in this department. Okay, so I want to see all that are not in this. So when I just put not in, okay, when I say not in, is going to give me this is a logical operator. All right, so when I say not in, if I run this, it will give me every other person that is offering courses aside data science and HR analytics. So when I do this, you could see that you just see one, two, four, but you will not see 5 and 3. All right. So these are examples of how you could use nested queries, how nested queries can come and save the day. Okay. So yeah, so we at the end of this, I believe that you have understood what nested queries are, or you could say subqueries. Okay, so with this, you could do a lot of manipulations either on the same table or on a different table. We'll be looking at more advanced method like using unions, joins, and to see how you could use those and when you should use those and why you should use those. Okay, so nested queries have their limitations and they have their advantages. All right. While joins and the rest also have their own advantages, and there is another kind of nested queries we'll also look at, which is called CTEs. Okay, so all these are things that we'll understand, but understanding this is key. It's a foundation to knowing how other aspects that I just mentioned would work properly. All right. So thank you very much and enjoy sequeling.